Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to inform the Honorable Minister would be joining us any moment now. May I once again request for all mobile phones to be switched off to silent mode. After the FM session, we would request everybody to kindly remain seated for the working session 2, which we will continue immediately after the Honorable Minister leaves the venue. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Honorable Chief Guest, Honorable Finance Minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman. Kindly take your seats. All exit doors to be closed, please. Namaskar and good morning. Honorable Chief Guest, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, Honorable Finance Minister, Secretary Department of Economic Affairs, Shri Ajay Seth, Chief Economic Advisor, Shri V. Ananta Nageshwaran, Whole-time Member, Securities and Exchange Board of India, Mr. Santosh Kumar Mohanty, special invitees, officials from the Ministry, SEBI officials, industry representatives, students, respected members of the press and media, ladies and gentlemen. I have the proud privilege today in welcoming you all to the Finance Minister's session, India's Economic Journey at 75, organized by Department of Economic Affairs as part of the celebration of Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav. आज़ादी का अमृत महोत्सव आज़ादी के 75 साल और इसके लोगों, संस्कृति और उपलब्धियों के गौरवशाली इतिहास को मनाने के लिए भारत सरकार की एक पहल है। यह महोत्सव भारत के लोगों को समर्पित है, जिन्होंने न केवल भारत की विकासवादी यात्रा में महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई है, बल्कि उनके भीतर माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के भारत 2.0 आत्मनिर्भर भारत को सक्रिय करने के दृष्टिकोण को सक्षम करने की शक्ति और क्षमता भी है. And ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite Mr. Santosh Kumar Mohanty, whole-time member, Securities and Exchange Board of India, to kindly share his views on the development of the securities market since SEBI's inception and initiatives undertaken by the regulator to mitigate the challenges posed by COVID.
Honorable Finance Minister, Ma'am Nirmala Sitharaman ji, Sri Ajay Seth ji, Secretary DEA, Sri Anant Nageswaran ji, Chief Economic Advisor, and distinguished guests. Before I say something, I just want to inform the audience who will be expecting the chairperson of SEBI, Ma'am Madhavi Puri Bush, to speak today. She was to come here, but for her illness connected with COVID, she couldn't come. So I am here before you. On this occasion of celebrating Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav, to commemorate 75 years of our motherland's independence, it is a proud moment for me to be here in this August forum to share some thoughts on the journey of Indian securities market over the years. In these 75 years, India has grown and achieved great heights, rising from an agrarian economy to becoming an economic powerhouse. India is one of the fastest growing economy in the world, with a GDP growth forecast of 7.2% for FY 2023. India is certainly growing as a nation, and very soon maybe we should expect that India will be one of the top 5 nations in the globe. When you talk about a growing Indian economy, we can't certainly miss out on the contribution of Indian securities market. A market that was once confined to the floors of stock exchanges got transformed into nationwide market of screen-based trading. Soon after, the investors started trading from the comfort of their homes. The reach of the securities market expanded to nooks and corners of the country. Consequently, investors who once depended on the broker to know at what rate his trades were executed, now they have full transparency before them. Not only they do know at what rate their trades are being executed, but also they know the prevailing demand supply and at what rates are the buyers and sellers willing to trade in the market. Similarly, when it comes to fundraising, a disclosure-based regime for raising capital replaced the earlier prevailing merit-based regime. While the issuer now can very easily pitch for raising capital from the investors after making due disclosures about their business, investors have also adequate opportunities and options to invest in businesses in which they want to invest their hard-earned money. Introduction of dematerialization, as we all of us know, heralded one of the biggest reform in securities market, where the hassles and risks associated with handling the physical shares were completely removed. And then followed a slew of reforms in the form of rolling settlement mechanism, corporatization and demutualization of exchanges, introduction of clearing corporations and settlement guarantee, ASBA, introduction of UPI and ASBA, eKYC, and so on and so forth. I think over the years, in a slow but steady manner, securities market have generated a lot of trust and belief in it amongst the investors. That is why the common man who was a mere passive saver, they became gradually investor, from investing in physical assets to investing in financial assets. Now all of us know that avenues are open for investors to have even advisory and distribution platforms at minimal cost. Most financial products can be accessed through online platforms. Bite-sized small investment as low as 500 rupees can also be made by the small savers to reap the benefits of investment products. Sensex, as we know, is the barometer of Indian securities market, has grown at a CAGR of over 15% over the last more than 3 decades. It reached 30,000 in the first quarter of 2015, and now it is 60,000 within 6.5 years in 2021. In the mutual fund space as well, the AUM was around barely 47,000 crore at the end of 1993. AUM has now increased to roughly about 39 lakh crore as on May 2022. In fact, since 2015 onwards, we have seen mutual fund AUM has been increasing by around 10 lakh crore every 3 years. Reach of mutual fund industry has also expanded beyond the major cities with more than 17% of the total AUM coming from B30 cities. Number of folios have also dramatically increased over last 5 to 6 years. Now they are 13 crore at the end of FY 2022, which was barely 3 crore sometime in 2007 and 8. Similarly, SIPs have also gone up to 5.3 crore as compared to the number barely 3 years ago. Trading in demat security started in 1996, and now 100% of the settlement of shares traded in equity market is in demat form. I think 9 crore demat accounts are there, covering around 19,000 pin codes of the country. So therefore, these statistics are self-speaking. They speak for themselves. Definitely much has been achieved, but not to say the least, much more is required to be achieved. Coming to the raising of fund side also, in 2021-22, through equity and debt instruments, the issuers raised 7.4 lakh crore, which is little less than INR 9.39 lakh crore disbursed by banks during the same period in the country. So even during COVID time, I think the true test for resilience of this market came to be tested when COVID came. With most stringent nationwide lockdowns, our securities market demonstrated how resilient they are. Not a single day trading has stopped. Not a single defaulter has come. There has been absolutely no problem in settlement clearing in the securities market, and rather it gave much needed relief to the common investors who wanted to monetize their assets because of COVID, woes and troubles. In fact, like any other regulator, Central Bank of India, Reserve Bank of India, and other central banks throughout the globe, SEBI also came forward and gave a lot of dispensations, relaxations in the market, be it dilution of the lock-in period, or easy fundraising through preferential issues, or even fast-tracking the rights issues, onboarding of clients, and also making even bond market easier for people to raise funds through bond market by removing the limits on self-prospectus and reducing the timelines for listing privately placed securities, debt securities in the country. As a result, even during the COVID period of 2021, 22, so roughly about 10 lakh crore has been raised in the market. So now, having seen the statistics which have given us a very wide glimpse about the market's growth, now definitely SEBI is mindful of the fact that a lot more has to be done, a lot of challenges are left. SEBI is taken a lot of measures in investor protection, investor education. We have taken manifold measures by developing contents, resource persons, investment associations, smart program, commodity traders, and we have been reaching out to people. And latest, the Sarthi application that we have developed, it gives a very handy information about the entire gamut of securities market to the investors. And of course, I cannot complete this presentation before talking about little bit about technology, and we are trying to solve, mindful of the fact that technology is the brick and mortar of this market. At the same time, it has been throwing a lot of challenges, and we are trying to solve them. Going forward, this technology is definitely going to be leveraged in a big manner to access to the investors throughout the country, and they can sit at home and start participating in this market. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much indeed, sir, for highlighting the investor awareness activities undertaken by SEBI for the investors in the financial and the securities market. And ladies and gentlemen, as our nation celebrates Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav, NSDL has launched Market Ka Eklavya Express. A fast-track version of Market Ka Eklavya is to reach 75 cities to commemorate 75 years of independence within 30 days. And we now present before you a screening of NSDL's initiative on Market Ka Eklavya Express, a program specially designed for college students, introducing them to the securities market.
India is one of the fastest growing economies in the world. Businesses across sectors such as pharma, automotive, banking, infrastructure, etc. are growing and propelling the economy forward. Capital markets help create a more resilient financial system. and drives sustainable economic growth by ensuring access to wealth for Indian retail investors. NSDL is the first electronic securities depository in India and is one of the leading depositories in the world. It holds 89% of the market share based on demat custody value, with 2.7 crore investor accounts across 167 countries. True freedom becomes a reality when financial freedom is achieved, enabling investors to become Atmanirbhar. But out of 1.3 billion people in India, just about 7% invest in stocks. We teach our youth maths, science, and history, but not investment. Financial prudence is a core life skill for participating in modern society. On the occasion of the Silver Jubilee celebration, NSDL is proud to launch Market Ka Eklavya to enlighten the young future investors with its knowledge partner, Purnatha.
And I was very impressed about the name Eklavya because even then it was a sort of distant learning because his guru didn't keep him next to Arjuna and teach him. He was learning it from somewhere, but he was so sharp he could get it. That was also, in a way, distant online learning. And so the name is very appropriate. We'll have million Ekavyas who will understand how to handle themselves when they're talking about the stock market or the bond market or what the kind of risks, what are the mutual funds up to, and everything else like that. This Ekalavya will also create a bulk of Indian citizens who will be very clear on what happens and how to handle the markets. And this is a very necessary education. And since it's so digitized and you're doing it in all the Indian languages, I'll be very happy. And I am sure the Indian citizen will immensely benefit from it.
On the occasion of celebrating 75 years of independence, NSDL, along with its knowledge partner Purnatha, is proud to launch Market Ka Eklavya Express under Actions at 75 to commemorate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Drawing inspiration from Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, NSDL has launched a fast-tracked version of this course, Market Ka Ekalavya Express. This course would reach 4,000 plus students in 75 centers, including Tier 2 and Tier 3 towns across the length and breadth of India, and this would be delivered in 8 languages. There has been an overwhelming response from the colleges and the student community. Officials of SEBI and our own DP partners have also enthusiastically supported this initiative by interacting with the students during the sessions.
Market Ka Eklavya Express is a 1-hour online course designed to reach 75 cities, including Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities across the length and breadth of the country, covering all Indian states within 30 days. Students are introduced to basics of investing and a look into the capital markets in regional language.
आज़ादी के 75 साल भारत मनाने जा रहे हैं और फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर ने बहुत बड़ा कदम उठाया कि अगर हमने यूनिवर्सिटी लेवल से ही अगर हमने मार्केट के बारे में इन्वेस्टमेंट के बारे में अगर आपको इसके बारे में इत्तला कर दी तो आपको लॉन्ग टर्म में इसका फायदा होगा राइट तो दैट इज व्हाट इज मार्केट का एकलव्य
এই অধিবেশন থেকে আমরা কি আশা করতে পারি নিয়োগ করতে গেলে ইনকামটা আগে করতে হবে তো এই ইনকামটার কত ধরনের হয় সেটা আমরা দেখব মুদ্রাস্ফীতি আমরা খুব আজকাল শুনি তো এই মুদ্রাস্ফীতিটা কি এবং সেটা কিভাবে আমাদের উপর প্রভাব বিস্তার করে এবং বিনিয়োগের বিভিন্ন রকম প্রকারভেদ নিয়ে আমরা আলোচনা করব
इसके बाद प्रिंसिपल वी आर गोइंग टू गिव इट यू नो द इंफॉर्मेशन अबाउट 3 एस 3 एस हमारी फाइनेंशियल जिंदगी में बहुत ही जरूरी है सबसे पहला है स्टार्ट अर्ली दूसरा है स्प्रेड वाइड और तीसरा है स्टे लॉन्ग
இதெல்லாம் பார்க்க அப்புறம் மார்க்கெட் என்ன இந்த பிரைமரி செகண்டரி இந்த வார்த்தைகள்லாம் நீங்க கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கீங்க ஐபிஓன்னு கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கீங்க பிரைமரி இப்போ டிமேட் அக்கௌண்ட் மார்க்கெட் இன்டர்மீடியட் என்எஸ்சி பிஎஸ்சி இதெல்லாம் என்ன அப்படின்ட்டு நம்ம இது இன்ட்ரோடக்டரி செஷன் ஒரு 1 hour செஷன்ல நம்ம டீடைலா பார்க்கலாம்.
Market Ka Eklavya Express is a 3-segment 1-hour course. Segment 1 covers the 3 I's: income, inflation, and investment.
અને નિશા જે છે એટલે એમની જ્યારે 25 વર્ષની ઉંમર થઈ ત્યારે એને દર મહિને 1000 રૂપિયાનું રોકાણ કરવાનું શરૂ કરી દીધું અને એમનો જે મિત્ર હતો વિનય હતો એને 2000 રૂપિયાનું
இந்த கிளாஸ் ரூம்ல நிஷா அப்படிங்கிறவங்க எல்லாம் கொஞ்சம் கை தூக்க முடியுமா?
Segment 2 is designed with the 3 S's of investment: start early, spread wide, and stay long.
একই জায়গাতে যদি ইনভেস্ট করি তাহলে কি হবে, সেখানে আমাদের সমস্যা হবে। যে কোনো একটা জায়গা যদি ডুবে যায় আমাদের সম্পূর্ণ ইনভেস্টমেন্টটা কিন্তু ডুবে যাবে।
आप 10 मिनट की मत सोचिए, आप 10 साल की सोचिए। जो कंपनी इतने सालों से चल रही है, 65 सालों से, 70 सालों से काम कर रही है, उसको क्या बिगड़ेगा? उतार चढ़ाव चलते रहते हैं।
ES of investment. સૌથી પહેલા સ્ટાર્ટ અર્લી, આપણે શક્ય એટલા જલ્દીથી રોકાણ કરવાનું શરૂ કરો. બીજું છે સ્પ્રેડ વાઇડ.
आना रहेगा वो कैसे खुलेगा?
For demat account खोलने के लिए you need to go to entity which provides you depository services.
Segment 3 highlights about the primary and secondary market.
के पास सीधा जाके शेयर खरीद सकते हैं, या अगर हमको बेचना है तो सीधा कंपनी को हम लोग शेयर बेच सकते हैं, हाँ या नहीं? आपको ये जवाब देना है, यस और नो। चलिए देखते हैं आपकी जानकारी इसके बारे में क्या है। चलिए फटाफट जवाब दीजिए। पहला जवाब आया हर्ष। हर्ष कह रहे हैं नहीं, खुशी भी कह रहे हैं नहीं, आर्यन, रितु, आकांक्षा, दे आर ऑल सेइंग नो। तो आपका जवाब संजोग बिल्कुल सही है, इसका जवाब है नो। रिया,
3 अकाउंट आपको स्टॉक मार्केट में इन्वेस्ट करने के लिए 3 खातों की जरूरत है। एक है सेविंग अकाउंट, दूसरा ब्रोकिंग अकाउंट और तीसरा डीमैट अकाउंट।
A certificate of completion will be jointly issued by NSDL and Purnatha. Here's what the college coordinators and students feel about the program.
Job is the first part, self-employment is the second part, business is the third part, but investing needs to be on the top. Investment needs to be on the top.
Absolutely
so these
right.
things are very well explained in a simple language. आपने हिंदी भी बहुत स्पष्ट और बहुत साफ हिंदी बोली। बहुत अच्छा लगता है कि हिंदी और इंग्लिश दोनों में आपने उस चीज को इतने अच्छे से समझाया। Your examples were excellent.
You will not believe that today I am enriched with a few of things which I was really not aware of. Beautiful program and beneficial for my students, and I think it is a good initiative, and we must have to be, encourage these sort of things for the students, knowledge.
இந்த செஷன் எப்படி இருந்ததுங்க? ரேட் திஸ் செஷன். நான் சொல்றேன், ஓகே, எக்ஸலன்ட்னு ஃபீல் பண்றீங்களா, இல்ல வெரி குட் அப்படின்றீங்களா, இல்ல குட்ன்றீங்களா, இல்ல சாட்டிஸ்ஃபேக்டரி? எக்ஸலன்ட் சொல்றவங்க மட்டும் கை தூக்கி பார்க்கலாம். செஷன் எக்ஸலன்ட், we feel it is excellent. Thank you.
We should invest our money, and we should not only save them, we should invest them so that we get the return on investment.
Good afternoon, sir, and it was really a learning experience. And being students, we are not aware of the terminologies that much. So thank you for all the practical examples. It helped us to get the points really well. Thank you, sir.
Here's what industry professionals have got to say about the course.
This is a great opportunity and platform provided first by, we thank to Government of India for having this thought behind educating on financial literacy to various colleges and students.
I myself was very excited when this program was launched कि मेरे बच्चों को मैं सिखाऊंगा ये वाला, कि ये प्रोग्राम कैसे होता है, क्या होता है, सीखो एंड देन आप स्टार्ट करो इन्वेस्ट करना.
Following the footsteps of Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav, Market ka Eklavya Express brings Azadi by instilling financial awareness among the youth. NSDL, technology, trust and reach.
Thank you very much indeed. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have the proud privilege in inviting Shri V. Anantha Nageshwaran, Chief Economic Advisor, to kindly say a few words.
Good morning. It is my immense pleasure and privilege on behalf of the Department of Economic Affairs to welcome the Honorable Union Minister for Finance, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, for the celebration of the Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav, Indian Economic Journey at 75. I'm also very happy to see here senior officials from the international financial institutions, former RBI Deputy Governor, chief executives of NSDL, Kotak Mahindra Bank, friends from the financial services industry, my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. To commemorate this iconic week under the umbrella of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, SEBI and Department of Economic Affairs this morning conducted a symposium that witnessed a very stimulating and fruitful discussion on the emergence of women investors in securities market and growth of Indian retail investors. Former RBI Deputy Governor, Mrs. Usha Thorat, mentioned that we should start investing when we are young, and there is a useful rule of thumb that your exposure to equities market should be 100 minus your age. So you can think about it. Soon we will have the Honorable Minister of Finance and Corporate Affairs, Madam Nirmala Sitharaman. She will be launching the iconic day celebration of the Department of Economic Affairs as a milestone in the grand festivities of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. We just watched this Market Ka Ekalavya Express, a program designed to prime students on the basics of investing and financial markets. And we will also be watching a short film later on Sahok Samriddhi about the contribution of India's externally aided projects on India's development trajectory across various sectors and states since 1947. The Honorable Union Minister for Finance will also be launching Netra, new e-tracking and remote administration portal and mobile application for Indian Development and Economic Assistance Scheme during the iconic week of Akam as part of the mega celebrations of the Ministry of Finance and Corporate Affairs. Of course, we are right now in a situation where there is considerable amount of challenges that we face for the Indian economy, both from global macro, monetary policy, and political developments. Some of you might have noticed that earlier this morning, we had the Reserve Bank of India raise interest rates by 50 basis points, but also maintaining its growth forecast for the year at 7.2%. This year, we will be facing the challenges of managing a sustainably high growth rate, moderate inflation, keeping the fiscal deficit under balance, and also ensuring that the external value of the Indian rupee remains stable. Naturally, there is no pre-programmed roadmap or a menu of options that would help us achieve these challenges. It has to be adroit and flexible policy making. And on behalf of the Honorable Union Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs, I can assure you that the Ministry of Finance is well prepared to meet these challenges of balancing these four important considerations. Naturally, there will be adjustments as we go along in the course of the financial year as developments happen, but we are quite aware that the hard-earned macro and financial stability of the last several years will be important to maintain, and they will also stand us in good stead as we navigate these immediate and near-term challenges. But I also would implore you to look beyond the current concerns over inflation, prices of oil, food, fertilizer, central bank interest rates, etc. Because India has emerged out of the previous decade with its financial system well repaired, improved, and with the balance sheet strength, as well as in the corporate sector, not just in the banking and financial sector. And some of the structural reforms that the government under the Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi, ably assisted by the Honorable Union Finance Minister in the last several years, reforms such as the Goods and Services Tax, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, etc., might have been temporarily overshadowed by external developments such as the pandemic and now the geopolitical conflict. However, once these clouds recede, they will begin to manifest their benefits and advantages in enhancing India's potential growth in the decade to come. That is why India is now forecasted by the IMF to cross $5 trillion by 26-27. And if the dollar GDP of the country doubles every 7 years, we will be at $20 trillion GDP by 2040 with a per capita income of close to $15,000. So therefore, while we are definitely focusing on the near-term concerns and challenges, we need to understand that the medium-term fundamentals of the Indian economy remain solid, and Indian economy is much better placed than many others in this world to face the challenges that we are currently encountering. With those words, I would now be inviting Honorable Union Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs to share her thoughts on the Indian economy's achievements. Sorry? So I understand that there'll be a launch of a video followed by the Finance Minister's address. Therefore, I welcome you all to stay back and enjoy the remaining videos and also be with us for the lunch. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. And ladies and gentlemen, we will now be presenting a short film on Sahyog Se Samriddhi about the contribution of externally aided projects to India's development trajectory. The film showcases India's collaboration with the multilateral and bilateral development partners in financing and execution of projects across various sectors and states since the year 1947. And now presenting before you the short film on Sahyog Se Samriddhi.
Fulfilling 1.37 billion aspirations to see a better tomorrow is not a small challenge. Ever since 1947, when a newly independent India, the world's largest democracy, started its journey on the path of development, creating enduring infrastructure and iconic milestones like the development of Indian railways, green revolution, Nagarjuna Sagar Dam, dairy development, Bombay High Offshore Development, and many more. The Department of Economic Affairs has walked in step, contributing by creating prosperity through partnerships. Decades of effort has resulted in numerous projects being benefited in a multitude of sectors: transport, energy, agriculture and rural development, water, urban development, and many others. The Department of Economic Affairs has facilitated funds for projects in the central sector in various states and for large multi-state initiatives. These have created capacities for sustained growth and have propelled India forward on the path of progress. Funds exceeding rupees 19 lakh crores at the present prices have been mobilized till date. Since 2014, with a new vigor, funds of over rupees 5 lakh crores are scripting a new story of a resilient India holding its head ever higher and dreaming even bigger, taking on the big task of mega infrastructure projects, the big challenge of sustainability and environment, the big vision of clean water for everyone, the big effort of developing green energy, and the big goal of large-scale social development. We at the Department of Economic Affairs have not only collaborated with various financial institutions to facilitate faster funding at competitive terms, but have also arranged for knowledge transfer and access to international best practices to enable smarter and speedier execution of mega projects that are making big possible. Making big possible in transportation and infrastructure. Enabling long-term concessional funding from JICA has been secured for the 508-kilometer-long Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed rail project and for the Mumbai Trans-Harbour Link, which will be the longest sea bridge in India and will cut commute time substantially in India's financial capital. from the Northeast Road Connectivity Project, which, with assisted funding from JICA, is constructing one of the longest river bridges in India and will connect the two banks of the Brahmaputra to metro projects in 12 cities across the country, including Ahmedabad, Agra, Bhopal, Bengaluru, Chennai, Pune, Mumbai, Lucknow, Kanpur, Nagpur, Surat, and expansion of the Delhi Metro. The Department of Economic Affairs is helping bring modern, high-speed, high-comfort, low-cost green mobility to move people. Over rupees 1 lakh crores of funding from JICA, ADB, EIB, AFD, KFW, NDB, and AIIB for these metro rail projects will speed up progress and usher India into a new era of rapid transport, cutting costs, travel times, lowering pollution, and becoming a means of decongesting cities. Similarly, the Delhi Meerut RRTS has also been assisted with funding from ADB, which will connect large urban habitats for rapid economic progress. The Green National Highways Corridor Project is upgrading highways in 5 states with green technologies, assisted by World Bank funding. The Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, whose budgetary resources have been supplemented with funding from the World Bank, is connecting remote villages with hospital services, schools, and larger markets. The iconic Rudraksh project, with funding from JICA, is now a reality. And Varanasi, one of the oldest cities in the world, now also has access to world-class ultra-modern convention facilities. Making big possible in environment and sustainability. Green steps have been taken with the Assam project on forest and biodiversity conservation, which is being helped with funding facilitated from AFD and is designed to enhance the lives and livelihoods of local communities. The Sustainable Coastal Protection and Management Investment Program in Karnataka, with funding from Asian Development Bank, is helping reduce coastal erosion. And the Ecosystem Services Improvement Project in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, with funding facilitated from the World Bank, is helping improve forest quality land management and forest produce. Making big possible in water management. The Uttarakhand Water Supply Program for peri-urban areas is being executed with funding facilitated by the Department of Economic Affairs from the World Bank. As is the Karnataka Urban Water Supply Modernization Project aimed at providing continuous piped water supply and reduce water shortage. The Innovative Drinking Water Project in West Bengal, facilitated by funding from ADB, will bring safe drinking water to the rural households in a sustainable way and protect children from the ill effects of arsenic and fluoride. Making big possible in green energy. In line with our commitment to NDC, funds leveraged by World Bank and IFC have made real the Riva Solar Project as part of the Shared Infrastructure for Solar Parks project. This initiative aims to establish large-scale solar parks across India and is today helping the Delhi Metro source inexpensive power from Riva in Madhya Pradesh. Funds from ADB are benefiting the Rajasthan Solar Power Project that is enhancing solar power generation and connecting it to the national grid. We have also assisted the grid-connected rooftop solar program that encourages the installation of solar panels on rooftops by facilitating funding from the World Bank. Making big possible in social development. To augment the nation's overall developmental efforts, the Department of Economic Affairs is helping provide supplemental funding from ADB for major projects such as the World Skills Center in Odisha that will train youth in the age group of 15 to 34, the National Rural Economic Transformation Project, with funds facilitated by us from the World Bank, has played a significant role in improving quality of life in rural areas. We are empowering self-help groups and the Uttarakhand Forest Resource Management Project that is tackling the problem of forest degradation by strengthening Van Panchayats by helping arrange funds from JICA. The Jhelum and Tavi Flood Recovery Project that is restoring essential services disrupted in the floods of 2014 and is creating infrastructures with upgraded, more resilient features is being executed with funds facilitated from the World Bank. We have also facilitated funds from ADB for the AppVax program, which supported procurement of safe and effective vaccines against COVID-19. Apart from state and central projects, we have also facilitated development projects of private enterprises by arranging funds from ADB and IFC. With projects in almost every state in India and the desire to touch every Indian's life, the Department of Economic Affairs is continuously providing a lifeline of funds, skills, and knowledge. And making big possible. Helping put a bigger smile on every Indian's face.
Thank you very much indeed. And ladies and gentlemen, the Government of India launched the India Development Initiative in the year 2003. The scheme has evolved over time under the nomenclature of Indian Development and Economic Assistance Scheme, or IDEAS. In these many years, IDEAS has played a stellar role, many a times in uncharted geographies, sharing India's development experience and project planning expertise. And ladies and gentlemen, we now present before you a short film on projects financed by the Export-Import Bank of India under IDEAS.
India at 75 today has emerged as a trusted partner for supporting the development priorities of partner countries. In this economic journey, India is aspiring to achieve the common goal of shared prosperity and transforming the lives of people across India's neighborhood and in nations across Africa, CIS, Latin America, and Oceania. The idea comes from the age-old belief in the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, a Sanskrit phrase that means the world is one family. This transformation has been made possible by the Indian Development and Economic Assistance Scheme, IDEAS, of the Government of India. IDEAS provides support through lines of credit extended by Exim Bank for sharing India's development experience with partner countries, to support economic and infrastructure projects, generate socio-economic benefits, promote bilateral trade, and support capacity building and skills transfer. At the same time, there is a confluence of developmental impact in India through expansion in trade and resultant economic growth and employment generation. Today, the portfolio comprises 311 concessional credit lines under IDEAS, amounting to rupees 2.5 lakh crore, spanning 66 countries across the world. IDEAS has been supporting a wide array of developmental projects, providing access to better health and education, reducing poverty and malnutrition, and mitigating the impact of climate change. Such projects have a positive multiplier effect, both for the partner country and Indian contractors that implement projects. Indian companies are supporting local development, and the experience in lines of credit-funded projects is opening new avenues for Indian contractors, enabling them to implement projects supported by other international and national agencies. Here is an overview of the support extended to select partner countries. The Solu Corridor, 132 kV transmission line and substation project in Nepal has made energy accessible to the rural population, supporting economic growth and social development. Power evacuation from the Rupur nuclear power plant to the national grid in Bangladesh is set to support the neighborhood in creating a mutually beneficial regional framework for prosperity. The railway line project, supported in Sri Lanka, has transformed the island nation, and high-speed trains have reduced freight costs and air pollution. Mongolia is dependent on imports of petrochemical products despite having own oil fields. India is helping to build the country's first petrochemical refinery to boost the economy. Adu development project in the Maldives is set to transform Adu city into a thriving economic hub and an attractive tourist destination. In Mauritius, the metro rail project is transforming the environment and easing traffic congestion. In Kenya, a project has revived a textile company and generated employment. The nimbleness of the industry was seen when the company quickly moved into the production of masks and PPE for combating COVID-19. The Nyaborongo hydropower project in Rwanda is contributing to 13% of the country's installed capacity and providing better livelihood and access to education opportunities. A new water supply system in Malawi from Likubula River to Blantyre is benefiting over 3 lakh people. In West Africa, 4 lines of credit to the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development have supported over 50 projects, leading to benefits across a wide spectrum of sectors, like providing clean, potable water, supply of trains, rural electrification, health infrastructure, solar street lighting, among others. In Côte d'Ivoire, the Mahatma Gandhi IT and Biotechnology Park project has created infrastructure for attracting IT, communication, and biotech companies. Multiple lines of credit to Nicaragua have supported better access to power for the local people through the development of power infrastructure. In Guyana, the construction of a cricket stadium in Georgetown has helped the Caribbean nation in hosting a World Cup and led to the revival of the sports culture and tourism. The ideas guidelines and the toolkit of model documents created by Exim Bank further ease the process of procurement and improve the implementation and quality of projects. Ideas 2022 is providing multi-dimensional support, ranging from large-scale and complex infrastructure to social development projects, along with support to SMEs in partner countries. To further enhance India's support to the development aspirations of partner countries, a dynamic monitoring platform, Netra, new e-tracking and remote administration, has been developed by Exim Bank. From Amrit Mahotsav to Amrit Kaal, Ideas is poised to herald a new era of development partnerships for India.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I now request the Honorable Finance Minister to do the honors of launching the Netra portal and the mobile application. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor that today's symposium is graced by the Honorable Finance Minister, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman. And I now have the proud privilege in requesting the Honorable Finance Minister to address the audience. Let's put our hands together once again to welcome the Honorable Minister.
Namaskar, good afternoon. Gives me a great satisfaction to be here. As you're aware, since Monday, when the Honorable Prime Minister inaugurated Ministry of Finance and Corporate Affairs week-long celebration, if I can call it so, marking 75 years of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. It all started off in March when the Prime Minister was in Dandi recreating the salt satyagraha. So March 2021 onwards, 75 weeks ending August 2022 is when the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav is ongoing. It's also, of course, extended till August 23 so that the entire expanse of government, union government with the state governments together recall this journey of 75 years of India through the various departments to see how this country has moved from where it was in 1947 to where we are today, marking 75th year. And even as we are talking about the 75th year, planning for the next 25 so that when India is at 100, we'll have a proud India which meets the aspirations of all Indians and with the commitment and service of every citizen. And that is why when we were talking about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Prayas was also added into it. Because it's not just the government, it is the people of India who are at every instance, at every moment of challenge, rising to the occasion, joining hands with one another as well, making the government respond in such a way that lives can be better, livelihoods can be offered, and India together can grow to become that country which all of us can be proud about. The intent was very clear. The intent was also well stated. And I've been watching weeks after weeks from March 2021, the way in which Azadi message and also the progress made in the last 75 years have been taken forward by so many different agencies. But it is when we were preparing for the Finance Ministry's own week of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we realized there was such a story to say, so much of variety of stories to say. And they were not just some abstract narration of policy, but all of which have a bearing on the ordinary citizen of the country. So in fact, even as we were planning for each department to do something, there were immense hesitation in some departments saying there's not much that we can go and, say there. Because we do a lot of work, but not the kind of work which is going to be, is it going to be, so much of a interesting narrative to say? So that's when each one of us realized there's actually so much to say, and to say the story of continuity, which actually formed the basis for India's economic strengths. Chief Economic Advisor rightly recalled that India's fundamentals are back again, sound now, because many steps taken between 2014 and today have actually gotten us out, gotten India out of that trying situation in which we were. the double balance sheet problem, the twin balance sheet problem, the fragile FI economic, and also the way in which NPS has mounted. I'm talking about the recent past. But every so often, a decade or 15 years, we've had a cycle of issues, challenges, which every government had to face and pull India out of. So it is not so unique for us to recall that periodically, the dead wood accumulates, as it were. And it is on the shoulder of some governments to remove those dead wood and revive the economy again. So if 1991 saw one kind of steps taken by the government, an economy being revived again, whether it is after opening the economy or even otherwise, so was the situation in 13-14. But even after pulling it out, pulling the economy out, removing all the undergrowth, you still had challenges. And in a way, the three major steps I would think which were taken, not at all aware of a COVID which will come to us. Not absolutely aware. Who would have been aware in any case? So the three major steps taken, whether it was for reducing the corporate tax, whether it is making sure that the economy gets greatly digitized, formalizing the economy, also trying to bring in the IBC code, the GST, wherein all states came on board, the heavy lifting actually which happened prepared us for a situation which no one could imagine. And as a result, when you're looking at India periodically coming up with challenges and facing the challenge together with the people of India and coming out of it, 75 years, Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav, recalling the path that India has walked to reach where it has reached today. That today we are able to, I'm seeing in the last few weeks, the immense lot of credits that genuinely we want to take and the world recognizes. Only yesterday or day before, there was a very good article which I had read with great interest, that India today, for instance, the digitization has led to so much of innovation and so much, creativity coming into the system, that we can boast of 3 large contributions that we've made on the digital, whether it's the payment platform, whether it is the CoWIN platform for vaccination, and there is no harm repeating it. No other country had a systematically developed platform which could track the illness, look at vaccination, certify vaccination in both the stages, and all that available on your phone. You could just travel saying, I've got the vaccine passport in my phone. So whether it was your UPI India stack, whether it is for payments, whether it is improving small businesses to be able to access the globe with this digitized version of buy and sell, or whether it is CoWIN platform, you have really now told the world that pandemic or no pandemic, we are there, we are moving forward, we are showing the way in digitizing the economy. So every challenge has been met with the participation of people, and as a result of which we are seeing that collective synergy resulting in such great advantages for us as an economy. Now, I probably will deviate from the DEA's own showcasing of what has happened in the last 75 years for a minute, only to come back. Now, if DEA could tell us through a video presentation what externally aided projects have done in this country. It hasn't done for one region of this country, it has done for every region of the country. So many multilateral institutions have been brought in. The funds have been very smartly raised and given for not just infrastructure building, which is very critical, which also gives jobs, but also looking at livelihood prospects in each region. So that's the way in which the economy's strength gets built or given a boost when you look at it not just as a singular project, but also every time assess what the positive multiplier will be of such a project and spread it across the country for every region to benefit from it. So if you look at that history, and I'm glad the media is here, these are the kind of stories I would think that the media, in the context of 75 years celebration, should capture, should summarize, should put forth to the people to know, so that that gives the confidence to every Indian citizen that we as a government, not just the union government, but even the governments in the state, constantly are leveraging every facility, every potential that exists for bringing in greater investment, for putting in money in the right place so that people's development is kept in mind. So when Ananta Nageshwaran can tell us by 2040 we will be a 20 trillion economy and our per capita income will be this, that's the result of all these kind of coherently brought in projects, states and center working together, and a department which actually looks at economy. So today, I'll go back to that conversation of some departments within the ministry not feeling very, what is there for us to say, ma'am? We are doing the good work. This is the big story you want to say. And 75 years, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav gives you that opportunity to tell the people of India, we are here, we are doing that kind of work which brings that development which you so want in your village. So I'm so glad that DEA brought out this particular video to show externally aided projects and the way in which these projects actually make a difference to the ground, to the people in the ground, to the economies in the ground, which will now create their own ecosystems to be able to build on it. Now, if that is one, the other ideas is another, contribution the department makes, DEA makes. And I'm glad sitting there, Secretary Ajay Seth rightly reminded me, we are at a stage where once Japan was, take a lot of aid, build your economy, but equally give a lot of aid, build others' economy. That's where India is today. So the Ideas project you saw spans across so many different countries, really making a difference to their livelihood requirement, giving infrastructure support, and quietly doing that work for most of Africa, which wants that kind of an assistance. And India is contributing its little bit. So elsewhere, particularly the island countries, all of whom have serious climate-related challenges, for India to participate in them, in their development, just shows how responsibly we want to use every, rupee of what we collect as tax. So if DEA has done it, my digression starts here. Similar is the recall. Similar is the recall by every department, which again were equally hesitant about what have we got to do with it. All right, we'll keep doing our work. Department of Expenditure. Yesterday, I actually waxed a lot eloquently on it to say the single nodal account which the department has brought in actually has made a big difference in the way public finance, money, taxpayers' money reaches at different stages to the states and further down to the level of the village. You're able to see just in time money moving and also transparently see where it is available. Again, utilizing technology to benefit the common man. And be accountable, be transparent, be open about what you're doing. There are no longer secrets which any government can afford to do it. If you want to keep the technology also with you, you're already transparent enough. So if DEA could tell you two different stories of how the fundamentals of the economy, and Department of Expenditure could tell you what the money is being sent and how much is being sent at what point in time and to who, I think, sorry about the rest of you, I seem to be addressing the media only. I'm trying to recall all those stories which media can capture. I'm trying to recall the stories which media should actually give space for. While other interesting, sensational things also need to be said, these are not sensational, but these are actual stories of development. And I think, therefore, I'm so grateful the Honorable Prime Minister said 75 years, recall what has happened in this country is the message. All of us will have to recall how this country has come today to be where it is. Coming back to the DA again, and also looking at the way in which we have the SEBI narrating the story, we have the NSDL narrating the story of how investments have helped and how investments will have to be built, on how investor education is so much important, and how digital tools are being readied to help people to inform themselves on how to access the market so that the savings that they have is not just going to be lying somewhere with some petty returns. Today you have a very prospering stock market where you can put the money and earn a lot more in a very open fashion. It's not about companies which are badly governed. It's actually the story of companies who are more transparently and well governed. The more these information about good, well governed companies come out, investor is interested. He or she wants to come there. And that's the story in the last 2 years, when even in spite of COVID, even in spite of such uncertainties, Indian retail investors have found very legitimate online ways in which they have accessed the market. And therefore, I would think it is more for NSDL and SEBI to take this story forward. SEBI in particular, not just as regulator, but SEBI with that instrument as investor education being one of the very important stories to take forward. So in all this, is it just the story of recapitulating what has happened in the last 75 years through multilateral funding and through the SEBI and through NSDL? No, it's a lot more. There's so much that I can say about the way in which the government has been responsive. Government has responded every bit during this crisis. But I will just take 2 examples, both based on recent studies. In fact, 3, I think. KPMG, one of the big 4 about which all of us talk, big 4, they also do studies. I'm quoting one of them, which KPMG together with the KfW, which is a German aid agency, had looked at Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana and said, actually, these are very important lines for us to recall. That study shows that because of GKY, Garib Kalyan Yojana, the probability of cutting down the consumption of utilities has actually come down by 75% because of PM Garib Kalyan Yojana. Across all sources of people who responded to the study and across all the parts of the country, destinations and locations all taken on board, 75% of people had said that because of PM Garib Kalyan Yojana, the probability of cutting down on consumption utilities was reduced by 75%. The reason why I'm quoting these 3 studies, one which I'm mentioning now, is when government looks at targeted approach of providing assistance and takes the input from the ground and does so quickly, in time, and in a very open fashion, the impact is there for all of us to see. So the Garib Kalyan Yojana, which became a part of the announcements made during 2020, the COVID affected year, is now confirming that idea that if you gave it in time, gave it targeted, it bears good result. So if people had responded, that 75% probability of cutting down consumption utilities was there, that is to speak about the success of PM GKY. And also the cash support which was given during that time, both in cash and also in kind transfers, reduced the probability of cutting down on food items by 76% across all states. So overall, the respondents of that study by KFW and KPMG has shown that assistance under the PM Garib Kalyan Yojana schemes reduce the probability of borrowing money by 67% of all respondents. So it is one thing to talk about actively give money in the hands of the people, but a totally different thing when the targeted approach which Government of India took through the PM Garib Kalyan Yojana, respondents did not have to borrow money to live their lives. They lived their lives with dignity. So that is a study by completely outside of the government agency. I want to quote it today so that that's a point which all of us can take a certain level of comfort from. The second, on which a lot of studies have come out, even today, one of the newspapers, a business newspaper, carries a full report on what this emergency credit liquidity guarantee scheme has done. Again, a targeted approach. Again, an approach to help the small and medium MSMEs. And just to give you the figure to start with, as of March 2022, loans sanctioned under the ECLGS scheme, which was fully guaranteed scheme from the Government of India, crossed 3.19 lakh crores. Sanctioned amount has crossed 3.19 lakh crores. The scope of ECGLS has been now extended till 2023. So it started in 2020. We found it to be an effective instrument through which help is reaching MSMEs, and that was extended to 22. Now it is extended to 23. So the hand-holding in time, which is what today's newspaper has a complete story on, hand-holding which the government extended during the time of the pandemic has actually kept many of them above the water floating. Otherwise, many of them had the risk of closing down. So that has helped as well. On that, there are several studies. Today's newspaper carries one of them. But the fact is, again, a targeted approach, not splashing money, but making sure it reaches those who desperately need. Again, a design, a work, and an implementation monitoring done by this ministry along with the Department of Financial Services. And the last one, which I would like to highlight, is again something which we kept the poor in mind, their health requirements in mind, and making sure that the poor don't have to spend cash to ensure that they get into hospital or pay for the medicine or pay for the bed or any of that. So the Ayushman Bharat, again a very well-tailored program. There is a study, I am quoting from that study, and this study is by a professor from the Indian School of Business, Professor Prasanna Tantri. He says that this study says this Ayushman Bharat program shows that apart from other benefits, and I quote here, apart from other benefits, the implementation of the Ayushman Bharat program is associated with a 21% decline in out-of-pocket health expenditure, 21% decline in out-of-pocket health expenditure, and an 8% reduction in the tendency to borrow for emergency health purposes. So 8% reduction in the tendency to borrow emergency loans for health purposes among poor households. Now, there are many more things I would like to add on here, but the fact is, I've just taken three examples where agencies outside of the government have assessed them after 2 full years and said very clearly that these have borne the right kind of results. And because of that, those sections which are otherwise vulnerable are today able to stand up and say, yes, we are trying to come out of this situation. So a Department of Economic Affairs which looks at the economy. So, in fact, let me digress again for a minute. There are people who sometimes say, why is this ministry called Finance Ministry? It should be a ministry which looks at finance and the entire economy. So, it should be Ministry of Economic Affairs and Finance. It is not just that somebody is interested in giving a bright idea, but it is emanating from the point that this ministry, as much as it takes care of the public finance, is also looking at the economic health of this country. And therefore, if Ajay Seth, Secretary Economic Affairs, had hesitations about what are the kind of things we can recall 75 years of India's independence story, I've not finished yet. That is how many that you can say. But I'm not going to take more time of yours. But Department of Economic Affairs, I think, has done well to come out with all the stories. And I'm very grateful. And I'm very grateful indeed for the presence of former Deputy Governor of Reserve Bank, Usha Thorat, NSDL's chief here, Padmaja Chunduri, and also others who, and since the message is already out because of the full-time director SEBI, I wish the SEBI chairperson all the very quick recovery. I wished she had been here. She could have actively participated in many things about SEBI, but I'm sure she'll get well soon and we'll find a next opportunity to interact with her. But I'm all very grateful for each one of you all to have come here, participated in this. It is an important time for India's economic history. We need to recall all that has happened, learn lessons from those missteps which had happened earlier, make sure technology helps us to be transparent and open. There cannot be any accommodation of people who want to game any system. India has to set very high benchmarks. So thank you very much for coming here. I'm sure the story will continue till this Saturday on Finance Ministry's story of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, ma'am, for your words of inspiration and motivating all of us. We look forward to your continued support. And now, ladies and gentlemen, may I invite Dr. Shashank Saxena, Senior Economic Advisor, to kindly propose the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable Minister of Finance and Corporate Affairs, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, Secretary, Department of Economic Affairs, Shri Ajay Seth, Chief Economic Advisor, Shri Anant Nageswaran, Whole-time Member, SEBI, Mr. Santosh Kumar Mohanty, and our esteemed guests, eminent dignitaries, special invitees, industry representatives, and respected members of press and media. At the outset, I would like to thank our chief guest, Honorable Finance Minister, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, for gracing this occasion and enlightening us with her kind words and presence. I would like to thank our Secretary for his enthusiastic support and guidance for organizing this event. A special thanks to Chief Economic Advisor and whole-time member SEBI for their illuminating words. I would like to express my gratitude to all esteemed panelists who participated in this stimulating exchange of views on Jagrik Niveshak Samriddhi Bharat Ki Neev. The discussion on the topics of symposium was very rich and fascinating. A very special thanks to SEBI team for organizing the symposium with the Department of Economic Affairs. Many thanks to NSDL for Market Ka Eklavya Express initiative and our multilateral institutions for their continued cooperation, as we also saw in this short film on Sahyog Se Samriddhi. I thank all our esteemed guests, dignitaries, and special invitees for taking out from your busy schedule and celebrating this iconic week with us. I must thank the organizing team consisting of both SEBI and DA officials for working hard for the past so many days to make this event successful. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, we close the proceedings of this session.